Good afternoon, dear participants of the Baltic Sea Youth Camp from Stockholm. We have a lovely autumn day here, and we're sitting here in our lovely premises. I really want to welcome you to this Youth Camp version 2.0. It's the second in a row. And on behalf of the CBSS and the Baltic Sea Youth Platform and all its partners, I hope that we will have a great day. Welcome to this youth camp. As you have probably seen in the program, this day is not so much about speeches and information boosting, because that's what we did in June. And if you were lucky enough to be part of that, you must have a huge knowledge storage in your head about the EU SBSR, the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. Today, we really want to get you working with these topics. We want to engage in a dialogue with all of you, and we want to prepare all of us for the annual forum of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, which is coming up next week. Before we go into this day of full program, I want to just have some short technical remarks for you. So all the videos we're going to share here, and also the videos of our last youth camp, are to be found on the expo in this event at the Hop Inn. So if you want to watch anything of that during the breaks or in parallel or later on, you will find them there. And then you will also find all these videos on our Baltic Sea Youth Platform website after the event. After this first broadcasting session we are having here now on stage, you will be asked to join the session part of this event. So you have to change from this part of the platform to the session. And when we get into the more interactive parts, I would like to ask you kindly to also switch on your cameras, because it's always nicer to engage with each other if you can see the faces as well. So if you don't have any technical problems that prohibit your participation, please turn on your cameras for the interactive parts. And if you cannot do that, then please use the chat. In general, use the chat for any question you might have or any comment you want to give to us. So on the right-hand side, you can see there is the chance for you to write down anything that would be on your mind. If you have or encounter technical problems, there is our technical wizard in the background. That's Krystyna. You can address him directly through the chat. If you face any problems, he will try to help you in the best way he can. So Krystyna is the person for the technical issues. So as you have a look through the program, we will now have some short opening remarks. We want to talk to you about our more personal views on the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, the ones that are here on stage. And then we will go ahead with the program. We will have a short break at 3 o'clock. Before that, you will be able to have a cup of tea with our Director General of the CBSS, who's already here and following our event. Welcome. And then we will go on with the more interactive sessions. We will tell you about all of the local events that have taken place in different parts of the region to prepare today's event. So yes, and then we'll follow the open brainstorming, and we will work on a declaration together with you. You have had the chance to also interactively already give some input via the jam boards that are online since some days, and we hope for all of us that this will be a very productive and interactive and great day for the Baltic Sea Youth and the Youth Platform. And of course, we hope to get some really good input from you for the EU Strategy Annual Forum. Before I hand over to my colleague Krystyna Wroblewska from the BSSC, I also want to share some short personal views on the Baltic Sea strategy. We thought that it would be nice for you to hear from us that have been working with this strategy maybe for a longer time, what we feel or what we have sort of personal emotions with the strategy, because of course it always comes across as something very technical, something very abstract, full of abbreviations and different topics where, first of all, things like, what is this? It sounds very complicated, and how can I have an input on this? But from my personal perspective, when I started to work with the Baltic Sea Cooperation, that's quite a long time ago, we actually in the Baltic Sea region had a big, patchwork of different local organizations, networks, different, fantastic small organizations that were working on different levels of governance with each other. There was like no real sort of roof or umbrella to all of this work. And it was more of a bottom-up approach. And there was a lot going on in the region already in the 90s, early 90s. And then came the CBSS as the first intergovernmental institution that tried to sort of bring all these different things together between the member states. And that was already one step ahead. We sort of had a more formalized way of cooperating. And then later on, and that's quite many years later, to be honest, we only had the EU strategy. So it's not that old yet. And at that point, it felt like we finally get the recognition also from the EU, from the Commission, that there's so much going on in this fantastic region that we have to sort of find a common strategic approach and to kind of pull it all together, get a red line through all of that, what we are doing. And personally, I at that point had the feeling that it's something to really be proud about, that there's so much in this region happening. And now after the EU strategy, which was the first EU strategy in the whole of Europe, so the Baltic Sea region was a forerunner in this. When we look at the newer strategies like the Alpine strategy or the Danube strategy, they all look to us as we're like a role model for them. And having like worked with a strategy for many years and also encountering the other strategies and being talking to the colleagues in these other regions, it's always felt like somehow it's something we are very proud of because there has been such a long history, and now we're also working in the strategy together, and it also feels somehow like home. So it's really something which unites all of us. The strategy is the umbrella for all our work. It guides us on all these different levels. We're working together, and also for the youth platform, and that's why we think it's really important that the youth part will be boosted in the strategy, because that's something that we have not been doing that well, even though there is so many good things going on, but there is at least really a lot of room for improvement on this topic. So that's why we're really happy to host this youth event. And from my side, I think I will stop here and pass the word on to Krystyna Wroblewska, the chair of the BSSC, the Baltic Sea States Sub-Regional Cooperation. And she's also a veteran of Baltic Sea Cooperation, so I'm sure she has some interesting thoughts she can share with you. Thank you. Krystyna.
Thank you very much, Kaarina. And well, you kind of paid a compliment to me saying that I'm a chair of the BSSC. I'm the Secretary General of it. And yes, the Baltic Sea State Sub-Regional Cooperation is one of those entities that you have mentioned, which have been very active in the Baltic Sea Cooperation for quite a long time. We were established in 1992. But apart from being the Secretary General of BSSC, I'm also a person in the Pomorskie region responsible for Baltic Sea Cooperation in our self-governmental administration. And I'd like to say three things today at this point. And the first one is that I have been with the Baltic Sea strategy from the very beginning. And I organized one of the 4 so-called thematic roundtables. Mine was on environment, already in 2008. And it was the time when we were still talking about the Baltic Sea strategy, why we need it, whether we need it, how it should look like it, etc. And then I have had the pleasure to follow its developments and to be active in different ways. I organize also already the second annual forum of the Baltic Sea strategy. and have been a part in different ways of several flagship projects and initiatives, such as supporting youth cooperation, for instance. And well, when I'm saying I have been, of course, it's always teamwork. It's not been, I haven't been doing this on my own. It's been my different teams of very good colleagues and, who have been with me. But I like to say that it has really given me a lot of pleasure and satisfaction to be a part of the process and of this initiative. And I'm a very strong believer in cooperation in general and in Baltic Sea cooperation specifically. Second thing to which I would like to draw your attention is that the European Union strategy for the Baltic Sea region, as all the other macro-regional strategies, are a process. And the action plans, as they call it, rolling documents or living documents. And that means that they are changing together with our learning process, and things are added or changed there. And we have seen that with proper support, specific subjects which we think, or issues that we think are important, have been added in the process. And a very good example here could be culture, which was added in 2015 due to, I can say here, Schleswig-Holstein to a great extent, with some support from the Polish Ministry of Culture. And another issue like that has been youth. And youth has been with us for quite some time, but first it's been in the form of the back-to-back events organized by the Baltic Sea organizations like Euroregion Baltic, BCCC, and UBC, and others. But now it's much more mainstream. And the Baltic Sea Youth Camp and Baltic Sea Youth Platform especially, I think, are the best examples of that, because now we are in the main process as if. And the third thing on which, to which I'd like to draw our attention to, and in which I strongly believe, and which is based on what I have already said, is that if you believe in something, and if you believe that this something is good and important, and this is to the youth, please specify it properly. Please find allies for it. And then please press, or maybe the better word is lobby for it, using all your negotiating skills and using the very good arguments that you can find. And if you do this, then there is really a very big chance that what you believe in so strongly will become reality. And in general, I think it's extremely important to believe that you can bring change. But in this respect, only when you are acting together. Because on your own, you are a little bit too weak for that. But it's extremely important to believe and to work for it. And that will be all from me for now. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to this meeting.
Thank you, Krystyna, very much for these very, nice words and very straightforward words to the young people. I think that was very encouraging and inspiring. And now, last but not least, I want to ask Marta to give some short insight on her personal view about working with the EU strategy. You have a special role in this, so please go ahead.
Okay, so hello everybody once again. As some of you may know, I've been working also with Krystyna at BCCC Secretariat, where I'm responsible for EU's BSR, but also communications. And this is also connected to my other role in the strategy, which is in the project Let's Communicate, which is the information and communication hub of the strategy. And as we know, communication is very often the heart of the things, and it's really important because without proper and also attractive and honest communication, even really great initiatives and ideas are not successful, known and supported as they should be. But I would like also to share some, as I was asked, some personal remarks on the strategy and how it is in my life. And maybe like with some of you, actually, I actually started working with the strategy without my knowledge of it. Because actually at first I was involved in one of the strategy's flagship projects, which was connected with policy area innovations. And it was the BSR STAR project. So a very innovative initiative, and we were focused on like innovative transport and finding innovative solutions for transport, especially modal way of transport, and also connected to decreasing the pollution in Baltic Sea region thanks to the sustainable transport solutions. So this was actually my first, let's say, encounter with the strategy. And at that time, I was really a project person. I was responsible at the project. I worked with this. And from this, let's say, very detailed topic, I came to this broad, let's say, perspective. So from working really as in such small project founded from Interreg program, which brought me together to our like really great colleagues also from Sweden, Lithuania. It was for me something that I really found it really important. This transnational cooperation, this exchange of ideas, this knowledge transfer, which was facilitated thanks to such small initiatives. So this is how I actually started working within the European Union for the strategy for the Baltic Sea region, and for me this is something that remains really the key. Actually, this effect of really very strong cooperation and this family feeling. And this is also not a coincidence, actually, that you see us here together in our small local hub with Magda from Euroregion Baltic, because it shows actually that people who really work within this Baltic Sea region are a family and already friends, because when you are involved very deep and you are very personally also engaged and you are believing in what you are doing, then it also creates very strong ties to the people you work with, and also friendships are built through it. So this is some my remarks. I won't here elaborate more on this. I think that this is a very important actually start for working together, and this feeling of family and mutual support and this knowledge transfer that we all benefit through the EU BSR. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Marta, for also very nice and personal views on the strategy work. And yes, our first welcoming session is coming to an end. So thank you for all your input. And now we ask you all to move into the sessions part of this event. And there you will get the chance to talk to our Director General, ask him questions through the chat or through your voice. And yes, let's change to the sessions part. Thank you very much and see you soon.
Today, please mute yourself while you're not. Here, I have the honor to welcome Grzegorz Poznański today, who is the Director General of the Council of the Baltic Sea States since September this year. And he will answer all your questions about the EUSBSR and youth participation in the EUSBSR. You have the possibility to ask these questions through our Jamboard that was shared earlier, and I can see that there are already some questions on it. You can also ask in the chat. And I would first ask you to introduce yourself shortly. You can just speak because
and now, yeah, you can hear me. Good. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here today. As Aline have mentioned, I'm relatively new in CBSS. I took the chair of the Director General in September, but I must say that I'm involved in Baltic Sea issues since quite a while. And just jumping to the EU Strategy Forum, I remember 2010 and Tallinn, and my first and the very first annual forum of the strategy, which was a different one. I think Krystyna earlier had mentioned that this is a process, and it's really fantastic, interesting process in which the strategy identifies not only issues but more and more actors who could and should be involved in solving problems of the Baltic Sea region. It was mentioned that it was that EUSBSR is the first macro-regional strategy of the European Union, which doesn't mean that we should sit and be proud that we are the first one. It requires even more work. Other macro-regional strategies established later, they've learned from our mistakes, and in some aspects they're even better. But I must say that here in the Baltic Sea region, we have a few features that are quite unique. We are extremely well networked, and we always were. The CBSS, BSSC, and the European Union strategy are just very good examples of how our networking skills work, and they work really well. But the EU strategy also is about the involvement of the new actors. Whenever the issue is identified that we should have new actors, we do that. And right now, I think this is the time for the youth to come as a strong actor in implementing strategy. Not only in implementing strategy, but also finding out the innovative ways how to deal with our problems. It's the motto of this year's strategy for this year annual forum towards a decade of innovation and sustainability. And I must say that when it comes to innovation, we look at young people. You are the most innovative. You can think out of the box, and you can think about the ways that would assure not only the economic development, but really sustainable development, preserving environment, preserving, I would say, humanity of our life here around the Baltic Sea region. So I would like to welcome you, and I must say that at the end, I will wish you a very good luck to work on in the session and to come up with a strong declaration for the annual forum. And on the 20th, when I will be welcoming all the participants of annual forum, I will definitely refer to the declaration that you will work on today.
Great, thank you very much. Everything.
I wanted to switch though.
Yeah, our technical issues as always, but yeah, we would first like also to shortly introduce myself as well. So my name is Aline Mayr. I'm working with the Baltic Sea Youth Platform mainly as a project assistant in the CBSS. So if you have any questions about the Baltic Sea Youth Platform, you can also always contact me. But today it's all about our decision maker, and we are really glad to have him here. And I'll start with the questions that we got from our Jam board. And if you have any further questions, feel free to ask them in the sessions chat or to ask for the permission to join the panel, and then you can ask them from there. But please also tell us in the chat that you have a question so we can unmute you and make it available for you to speak. So from our Jam board, I think the first question that I can see from here is, have you been active in a youth organization before?
It was a long time ago, but I was active in our Polish scouting movement. for some time, and then also at the university. But I must say that I was never that much, I would say, activist. I was more a kind of focus on work. So I wasn't very much active in the youth organizations. I participated in the scouting organization, in the students' associations at the university, and I think that's the time when you should be the most active in the youth organizations. I don't quite believe in people like me, 50 years old, active in the youth organizations anymore.
Thank you. And we had another question. What kind of youth initiative would you like to see in the Baltic Sea region?
It's very much up to the young people to see where they would like to be involved. But looking at the very huge agenda of the EUSBSR, just looking at the issues that we are dealing here in Stockholm in the CBSS Secretariat. As probably you know, we are the coordinators of the area secure, the policy area secure, and also the issues related to neighbors and action and climate. Absolutely, in all those areas, we need the strong voice of the young people. It could be worked on differently. Sometimes joining by stating good declarations and asking good questions, but sometimes it would really require the active participation. For example, our cooperation with the neighbors of the European Union here in the Baltic Sea region. It's really, if we want to create a sustainable, well-developed, secure region for the future, then this is very much your dialogue of the young people from all around the Baltic Sea that really matters. And the better such a dialogue will be, the better results we'll have on the state level of the cooperation between our states, for the good sake of the Baltic Sea region as a whole. The same with the climate action. When we work here in the Secretariat on the climate, we listen very much, and that's why we are very active in organizing Baltic Sea Youth Platform and many other youth-related events to hear very well the voice of the young people, because this will be the world that you will be living in. But also we look for the possibilities to involve you in a very concrete form when we talk about building resilient region, fighting disasters, creating good crisis management mechanisms. We look very carefully how we can involve young people, and that's one of the projects that we run here in the CBSS at the moment, is related to how to involve young people in building resilient societies, building the understanding for need to create effective resilience on the ground. So that's how I would see strong involvement, the most important.
Thank you very much. As said, also, if you want to see our Director General a little bigger on your screen, double click on his video so you can see him a little bigger. And we will go on with the next question. Why do you think it is important for young people to be active in the Baltic Sea region?
I think I said it already in my introductory remarks. If we want really innovative ways of dealing with the Baltic Sea problems, with our region, with our life here in the Baltic Sea, we then definitely we need innovative people. And I must say that young people are the most innovative. That's the time when you have to be innovative. Sometimes being in my age is difficult to be innovative. We think in a little bit, well-checked ways, sometimes having difficulty in thinking out of the box, and we count very much on your strong voice and telling us what to do.
Thank you very much. I think there are some questions that are kind of connected, so I'd like to ask them, like, what do you think is the current stage of youth involvement in the EUSBSR? And there was another one, why is there no youth participation in the EUSBSR? So maybe you could talk about that a little bit, about youth and the EUSBSR.
Well, I think that you, my dear colleagues who are working on the youth issue in EUSBSR, you can say much more about it, and I would prefer you to tell our colleagues here on the stage but definitely I must say that it is the time of the youth involvement. It is the time of the strong youth involvement. It is the time for the strong youth voice in our political, economic, social deliberations. We just had the short introductions from our colleagues dealing with BSSC. I attended the annual conference of BSSC, and I was very happy to see, first of all, the youth event, actually co-organized by us, taking place, but more importantly, the whole session devoted to the spreading the voice and the views of the young people to the whole conference. So I think this is very much important. But I think that, you know, in many working groups, policy areas, we can find ways where the most suitable form of involving young people could be. As I said a while ago, it's sometimes just your voice will be enough to make a strong participation, but sometimes the real involvement, for example, in building resilient societies around the Baltic Sea region, that's where you can do a lot. That's where you can, and actually we saw that now during the COVID, where I saw in many countries all around the Baltic Sea, where young people, youth organizations, be those scouting organizations or any others, were really involved in creating the crisis management mechanisms, delivering food to the older people who couldn't leave homes because of the pandemics, and many other things. So you are part of the society, and you should be a very active part of what we are doing to live in a better world.
Thank you. So I think many questions here are slightly similar than to this one, but maybe you can also talk a little bit about the biggest challenges for youth to be part of the EU strategy and the policy work of the strategy. What do you think are challenges and obstacles, maybe?
I think one of the biggest challenge is the trust. That's another word very important for my organization, because the Council of the Baltic Sea States the motto says building collaboration and trust, and trust is really a key. First of all, for the young people to trust that the politicians and decision makers can do something useful, can do something positive, and more importantly, trust that you can be part of this decision-making process. The same works the other way. I mean, this trust should be built both ways between the young people, youth organizations, youth platforms like this one that we are using today to meet. But also politicians should learn to trust you, trust your voice, and I think that's why we are here. That's why we are working together to build that trust between youth and decision makers. This is the biggest challenge, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there was one question about that in the action plan for the EUSBSR, youth is only mentioned as an actor, but not as an implementer. Mm-hmm. Do you think that is, I rephrase this question, do you think that is the right place where youth should be? Should they not be implementers of the EUSBSR? And what could maybe also the CBSS do to make it possible that the youth could be seen slightly different, maybe, if you think they should be implemented?
Well, as I said, I'm not going to prejudge in which areas the youth should be a real active participant and implementer, where it should be present with its strong voice. But definitely there are a lot of areas. I would say that, for example, in policy area secure, we will be looking for, as CBSS is the coordinator of this area in the EU strategy. We'll be looking for ways to involve young people as implementers, those who will be implementing the resilience strategies and actions in the societies. So definitely, we should look now carefully into each policy area to see where particular way of involvement would be the best. But definitely there is in each of them, and you have shown that in the climate, the call of the young people for the climate action was definitely one of the mobilizing factors for all decision makers, politicians, international organizations like us.
Okay. So then there's this question about what do you think about the Baltic Sea Youth Platform? I think probably rather is a personal view or less formal. Less formal, I'd say as well.
No, I think this is really first and foremost up to young people to say what do they think, what do you think about the youth platform. Definitely, I'm very proud that we as the CBSS we have organized this platform as we believed that it's important to create this venue where young people with fresh, out-of-the-box, innovative ideas would come up, and then to see how we could fit those ideas into the decision-making processes, like in the European Union strategy. So, so I would reverse this question. Please tell us what you think about the Baltic Sea Youth Platform. That's the most important.
You can, of course, also write that in the chat of the session, or you can directly send it to me, or you can use the second Jamboard page to write it down, however you like it. So there is the question from our Director General about how you like the Baltic Sea Youth Platform. But thank you very much for this answer. So then the next question would be, how are you yourself planning to enhance and further youth participation? A really general question. I would maybe narrow the focus a little bit in Baltic Sea region politics.
Yeah, I think that we are the organization that thinks very much about the best possible use of the involvement of youth in our work. In May, we, as a CBSS, we had a ministerial meeting, and there was a plan before the coronavirus to hold it in Bornholm. And from the beginning, the plan was to also have the Baltic Youth meeting. And I must say that I'm very much encouraged that politicians, ministers, top-level decision makers, they are very much open to host these kind of events. I must say that even last week we talked about further events. I don't want to go into the shoes of the organizers of the other events, but top-level political meetings to be organized, and there are even other organizations approaching us, asking how to organize youth events, how to organize the platform to have youth voice very well heard during the high-level political meetings. So I think that you will hear even more and more about this involvement, this kind of youth platforms side by side with big events. But in my opinion, they should become a real part of those big political events. And as I mentioned, BSSC annual conference with a special session on youth. That is the way how we should do it. And I hope other organizations, other regional meetings at the top level will follow the suit.
Thank you very much. So then we have a question that is really, really general, and you can choose how you interpret it. Which youth initiative do you like the most?
Okay, I hope that it's not you that wrote this question.
I can assure you I wrote none of these questions. So whoever wrote it, you can also write down how you mean it exactly, or you can ask another question or write in the chat. But anyway, that is a really general question, and I think it leaves a lot of space to answer.
Well, I must say that first and foremost, no, I will answer it this way. I don't have the favorite youth platform. I'm very proud that here in the CBSS we work on the Baltic Sea Youth platform, and that is our real pride. What we are doing here, and I'm very thankful to Kaarina, to Aline, to the others who are very strongly involved in making the voice of young people really heard around the Baltic Sea region. But I must say that general involvement, and it happens on different levels and different places, be it the city level, youth councils, youth organizations, really getting involved, getting mobilized, and really asking right questions to decision makers, and then also offering very often very important help to decision makers. That's what we see today all around Europe, and I must say that the active youth should be proud of themselves, and let's not distinguish between this or another platform. Any youth involvement is important. It's a little bit like what I always say in the Baltic Sea region. We have a real, what I call the myriad or the labyrinth of different organizations, platforms, and we don't see the competition who is better. We don't seek for such a competition. We see that each one is important, each one has its own unique experience and skills, and each one can contribute to the better future of the Baltic Sea region. And it's the same with the active youth platforms.
Thank you. And we have another question, that is, you mentioned the connection of the CBSS to high-level politicians. Do you think the CBSS could be the connection to forward youth ideas from the Baltic Sea Youth Platform to the politicians?
Absolutely, I believe that. And I mentioned, we couldn't organize the last ministerial meeting of the CBSS in a way that it was planned. The real ministerial meeting with the real youth meeting in Bornholm during the Danish presidency. But that's definitely what we are aiming at, and we are working hard. That was one of the reasons why we organized by the Baltic Sea Youth Platform to have the mechanism to collect good ideas, to collect the voices of the young people, and to bring it to the ears of the politicians and decision makers. That's already a part of our work, and we will not give it up.
Great. There was that sounds great. Thank you. Comment also on our Jamboard. You can also comment this, of course, on our Jamboard here. Mm-hmm. So then there was another question about your vision for the CBSS, and that might connect also to another question that we have, looking 20 years ahead from now. How would you like the BSR to look or feel like? So not only the CBSS, but maybe we can start from the CBSS and broaden that.
Well, in 20 years, I would like to see myself to be a happy pensioner somewhere on the shores of the clean Baltic Sea, where people are living here in innovative, well-fitted for all human beings environment and modern economy, remembering that we are humans. So that would be a short answer to the questions. What about 20 years later? Here in CBSS, we just have conducted a reform. The Bornholm ministers' declaration put an emphasis to have more focused, more organized, and better visible CBSS. We should remember that this is a unique organization possessing all the levels of political integration and dialogue, with the possibility to organize the meetings of heads of states that haven't happened since quite a while. but we have this instrument and we remember about it. Ministerial meetings, what we call line ministries, or the specific subject ministries, and we had very good meetings of ministers of culture, ministers of tourism, ministers of science. That's when the Baltic Science Network was launched, something that we hope that will also contribute to an even better interaction between the young scientists and the young people in general around the Baltic Sea region. So I would say better organization, more focus. These are the aims set for the organizations, and we are working right now on some kind of the action plan for our organization, and also for the political declaration. That's our decision makers on the political level. They work to have the political declaration to set the goals for the CBSS and the region for the next 10 years. So I think that coming year will be the year of a lot of good messages from the CBSS itself, and also good messages for the Baltic Sea region as a whole.
That sounds good. We are looking forward to that. And we have a really concrete question now that came up. What about solving problems like LGBTQ plus, I'll add here, rights? Do you think there is any possibility for CBSS to engage in that?
Well, I think that we are not really mandated with that. That's really right question to be asked to the politicians, and they should be answering how much we should be involved in this area or not. Here in the CBSS, we have a really good network of a good, I would say, organizational setting to deal with the vast area of social, cultural, educational issues, and we can put it in motion. We also have a very good network of collaborators across the Baltic Sea, other organizations, but also universities. We had this summer university experience and other university collaborations. We are also reaching to the journalists as the CBSS. First of all, telling them about interesting, important subjects that they should tackle, but also helping them to find out how the decent, good journalists should tackle those issues. One of the last examples was when we've launched the journalism studies or curriculum for dealing with trafficking of human beings. Yes, trafficking of human beings. So we have, I would say, here in the Secretariat, all necessary organizational network. We have good connections outside of the organization. It's only up to the politicians how they would set this in motion.
So call your politicians and make sure they mandate the CBSS. Yeah. So we already had the what is your vision part. Then there is one more question. How will the youth platform, and if you have further questions, please feel free to add a sticky note. That's the fourth point on the left when you enter the Jamboard. You can still ask some sticky note questions there. But for now, the last question would be, how will the youth platform work after the Erasmus funding ends? Do you have any ideas on that? Because just as a background information, currently the Baltic Youth Platform is a Erasmus Plus project. So we got some finances from the European Commission, but of course we would like to make it a long-term project. So, yeah. Also, this question wasn't asked by me, I have to say.
Let's set the record straight. I didn't know what kind of questions will be asked here from the beginning. Actually, I was a little bit surprised, seeing, how they appear on this board, because when we were starting, there were like 3 questions, and then I started being suspicious what my colleagues are doing. But now I understand that those questions are being picked up on the board and asked by you, so thank you for them. And I must say that I think that be it Erasmus funding or any other funding, this is a part of the huge discussion today related to the EU budget, and we know what our realities we are living today. I mean, challenges are really tremendous. We all work around Europe to fight successfully with COVID, but even more importantly, with all the social and economic consequences of the COVID. But I think that be it Erasmus or any other funding, I cannot imagine that the European Union would leave the youth cooperation, exchange of students within the European Union and also between the European Union and its neighbors. And that's something that we look especially carefully here in the CBSS. I think that no one will be left without the funding. So we just have to see what will be a proper tranche. But we have, and I'm pretty sure that you have a good arguments for decision makers that there will be really no sustainable development. There will be no successful Green Deal. There will be no innovation if there will be no good cooperation between the youth and good contacts between the youth and good exchanges where you will exchange even better ideas. So that would be my short answer for this difficult question.
Thank you very much. And there was one more question now on our Jamboard. Do you think the CBSS is outside of digital formats too Stockholm-centered for youth?
No, I'm outside of digital to Stockholm Center. Well, maybe that's a feeling, after the COVID erupted. But I must say that we had some youth events outside. Maybe we as a secretariat couldn't participate directly, but there were some events. Definitely, as soon as COVID allows, we'll go outside of the digital. I must say that when I came here to Stockholm, that was one of the first questions that I asked my colleagues, how our projects are going on. And we suspended some projects because we saw the added value in the real life meeting all around the Baltic Sea. So this may be feeling, because of the coronavirus limitations that we cannot travel that much. But I think that as soon as we will be allowed to travel, you will see us all around the Baltic Sea region.
Yeah, and I can tell from my perspective working here with youth, like we are not super strong in Stockholm. We are stronger on all the other parts around our region because we have been working with our partners there much longer than we have been working here in Stockholm. So I'd agree with our Director General on that. And then we have one, and I think that is also our last question because we will end this session in 4 minutes. And it's a really political question. Do you think that the CBSS countries could work together now to find some solutions to increasing extremism and lesser trust in a liberal democracy, including youth perspectives?
Oh wow, that's a huge question.
That's a huge question.
Do we have another hour? We've set another hour or two to this for the discussion between the young people. I must say that definitely CBSS is, as I said, it's about collaboration and building trust, and we have. Extremism and we have other, I would say, the political agendas built on lack of trust if there is no trust. So that's definitely something that we here in Stockholm and all around the Baltic Sea are trying to do, is to build understanding so that people would better understand each other. And I must say that we put a lot of effort so we could understand each other. I'm very often repeating that when we work on, that's one of our priorities on regional identity, is I'm saying that it doesn't mean that we have to be identical. Actually, we cannot be the same, but our regional identity, our Balticness is about cooperating and talking to each other and shaking hands when it comes to when we have to deal with the important issues. So I would say that the extremism, lack of trust happens when we don't have such a dialogue, and we work very hard on the dialogue between all the member states, and remember that we have 11 member states, and the European Union is also a member of the CBSS. So we are in a very good company to hold any kind of the discussion of what is relevant to the Baltic Sea region and beyond. And we also have quite a good network of observer states, and we are also very much open to discuss with them. So I would say, and I have never heard from any of the decision makers, any of the politicians, that we shouldn't have this dialogue. We have this dialogue, and that's the best way to meet and to find out how we can solve problems together and not against each other.
Yeah, I think that were really nice words for ending the session, and really concrete ones as well. So thank you everyone for asking your question. Thank you especially, of course, to Mr. Poznański for being here and answering all these questions.
If I can say the last word,
you can
try to answer the questions just as I think and how I feel. I remember when I was a young student and I had one of these study trips somewhere in Europe, and then we are asking sometimes difficult questions, difficult for our hosts. And then the most often we have heard, oh, this is a process and it must take time. It's not that easy. And I remember that one day I had a meeting with young people and I answered in the very same way, oh, this is a process and it will take a long time. And then I realized, no, that's not how the questions should be answered. If I can answer, I will answer. If I cannot answer, I will tell you I don't know the answer, and maybe I will ask you to give us the answers.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice way, and we are looking forward to seeing what the CBSS does while you are the Director General here.
Thank you.
I think that was a great start, also for the young people. And do you have something to ask me?
No, just thank you very much. This was, I think, a really inspiring session and really nicely moderated and good questions. Thank you, everybody.
And I wish you good luck with the session and working on the declaration. And I will be looking forward to bring it up during my welcome speech at the forum.
Great, and thank you for your support in that as well. So for now, we have planned to have a 15-minute break for everyone, so you can relax, digest what you just heard. You can also explore our expo area, and then we will meet again in the sessions at 3:15 to discuss the local events that we hosted in the past weeks, and then also to discuss the youth declaration. And if you want, you can already go on our USBSR Jamboard, and where we have listed all youth, all policy areas, and you can then write down what you think should be changed within the policy areas and what your personal contribution to this could be, because that is also always really interesting, as we also heard from our Director General this time, that the young people have to offer something as well. And you also have to be part of the solution and not only ask for others to do something, but maybe step into these shoes and act. And we would be really, really interested to hear what your contributions could be and also what should be changed within the policy areas. So we will post the link in the event chat and have fun networking with your colleagues. So you'll meet them shortly one by one or exploring the expo, and see you back in 15 minutes. Thank you, everyone.